Today we have an exciting topic to discuss, especially relevant if you're in your 30s. We're going to be diving deep into the world of investing and how you can make the most of your financial journey during this pivotal decade of your life. So if you're ready to take hold of your financial future, let's get started. I've laid out this video into 4 different sections because I really don't want you to be overwhelmed with all of the investing options that are out there. And trust me, there's a lot. So we're going to be starting with first laying the foundation, second, the investment account options, third, what to invest in, and fourth, your long-term vision. So let's go ahead and dive into laying the foundation. Before you can go crazy on your investments, you have to make sure your personal finances are rock solid. And that really starts with a proper emergency fund in place. You've heard me, if you've been following the channel for a while, you've heard me talk about emergency funds extensively and why I think they're so important, and why, if you're still in debt, you absolutely need to have at least 2 to 3 months of living expenses set aside in a separate savings account. If you haven't watched that video, be sure to check that out up here in the cards for you to really get a grasp on why that's so important. Laying the groundwork with the emergency fund is the first way to go. Second to that would be paying off your debt. Really going crazy on the credit cards, the car loans, and the student loan debt to make sure that all of our extra money is not going towards debt, but instead going towards our financial future by really fueling those investing accounts. Now, if you have a hold on your debt-free journey and you're making good progress, then let's talk about your investment account options. All right, you've probably seen your employer-sponsored retirement plan. I hope you have. So that could be a 401k, a 403b, or a thrift savings plan. You'll want to take advantage of any employer match. And side note, if you are still working on your debt-free journey, go ahead and still continue to pay into your retirement plans with your employer. Just don't make any extra big contributions to that plan until you've really got that debt knocked out. Then you can go back and start first with the employer-sponsored retirement plan and contribute up to the match. So let's say your employer is offering 5%, then you'll contribute your own money of up to 5% too. The great thing about this is any contributions that you make into an employer-sponsored retirement plan is tax deductible from your income. So basically, whatever that paycheck amount is, that contribution to your 401k gets subtracted out from that income. Then you're left with what's left over after the deductions, and then that amount is taxed. So your tax bill is actually reduced in that case. If you are self-employed, take a look at opening up a SEP IRA or a solo 401k. The SEP IRA is taxed in the same way that the 401k is, so it reduces your taxable income and therefore reduces the overall amount of taxes that you pay. Second to that is to fully fund a Roth IRA. In 2023, the max contribution limit is $6,500. A Roth IRA is taxed opposite of what a 401k is. Your contributions are taxed up front, and then that money grows tax-free, and when you withdraw that money during retirement, those withdrawals are also tax-free. So it's this great tax advantage that you get with the Roth IRA. Now, there are some income eligibility requirements that you should take note of. In fact, I've done a whole video on Roth IRAs, and I will link to that up here in the cards. Third, you'll want to take a look at a traditional IRA. A traditional IRA is taxed the same way as a 401k, so the amount that you contribute is tax deductible. The max contribution limit in 2023 is $6,500 for the traditional IRA. So if you're still following me, then you'll know number 1 is to contribute up to the match for your 401k plan or other employer-sponsored retirement plan. Number 2 is to contribute up to the max to the Roth IRA. Then number 3 is to contribute up to the max to the traditional IRA. Now your next step would be to go back to that employer-sponsored retirement plan and then work on contributing up to the max. In 2023, that max contribution limit is $22,500. This is a lot of money, and my suggestion to you is to stair-step those contributions as baby steps, as little as possible, so that you can see the impact that it has on your take-home pay. Another way to do this is that anytime that you get an increase in your salary, a promotion, a bonus, those are opportunities where you can turn up the dial on your retirement plan contributions. And then that way it's not so overwhelming and you're not taking this big leap into making those contributions and seeing how it impacts your take-home. Rather, you're making these small incremental steps. And that goes the same for the Roth IRA and the traditional IRA. Doing it in this order is actually recommended by J.L. Collins, who is the author of The Simple Path to Wealth. I've read his book cover to cover multiple times, and I love the practical solutions and steps that he gives to help you reduce the amount of taxes that you might owe in the future. Now, I'm not a financial advisor nor a CPA, and you may want to consult with those professionals if you want to, or you can also DIY. I personally DIY all of my investing accounts, and I also make sure that I have the financial literacy and education to help me make informed investing decisions. As your income level increases and you could be phased out of eligibility requirements for a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, you might consider opening up a non-deductible IRA in which you can't deduct the contributions from your taxable income. And lastly, you can open up a brokerage account and start fueling and funneling money into that. And keep in mind, you can use a brokerage account and withdraw the funds at any time for any reason. Just keep in mind, with a brokerage account, you will pay capital gains tax on any money that you've earned within that account. Okay, so if you're with me so far, are you finding this information valuable? If so, go ahead and hit that like button now and we'll continue on. So you know what accounts to invest in. We've given you several different options, but what do you invest inside of each of those accounts? There are tons of different things that you can choose from, buy and sell. So let's do a quick overview of that. First are stocks, where you can own a slice of a company. Next are bonds, in which you lend money to a company. Stocks and bonds are kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum. Stocks are really going to be a little bit more riskier, but the reward can be a lot higher. You could really earn a lot of money, or you could lose a lot of money. Whereas bonds tend to be more conservative funds. You're lending money to a company or to government, and you're getting a smaller rate of return. So the roller coaster ride is more of a bicycle path in a park, if you will. Next are mutual funds and ETFs, which simply are a basket of stocks, multiple stocks inside of one fund that you can invest in. But even better than mutual funds, in my opinion, are index funds. Now, index funds are also a basket of stocks that aim to replicate the performance of a given index. Now, an index is simply just a list of stocks and measures the performance of the list of stocks. An index fund is actually going to take a little bit of stock from each company that's listed on that particular index and then follows the performance of that index over time, which is what I love. I love scooping up stocks from every single company on the S&P 500, for example, and just seeing how that rises over time. And keep in mind that S&P 500 is a self-cleansing index. If one of those companies falls below the list, they get picked off and then another one replaces it, so you're always getting the top performing 500 companies within that specific index. And that's just one specific index out of several that you can choose from. In fact, I just shared a video recently of my retirement accounts and the exact three, yes, only 3 index funds that I invest in for my retirement. I'll link to that up here in the cards. All right, so we talked about mutual funds and ETFs as a basket of stocks, index funds that track the index performance over time. Next are target date index funds, in which it's an index fund, so a basket of stocks that has a specific target retirement date in mind. So if you pick your retirement date as the year 2050, that fund is actually going to automatically reallocate the funds inside of that account so that as you get closer to that date, those funds are going to get more and more conservative so that there's less chance of you losing money in that fund. Of course, you'll always want to diversify your funds by looking at things like index funds, which are diversified in of itself, a mix of stocks and bonds, making sure that you understand whether or not you need to be in aggressive growth mode or more conservative mode. And spoiler alert, if you're in your 30s, you definitely want to be in grow mode. We still have lots of time on our side to really grow our investing accounts. You'll also want to do a portfolio review. Regardless if you work with a financial advisor or not, take a look at your accounts. See how much fund fees and annual fees you're paying to your investment company. If you work with a financial advisor, you especially want to know what fees they're charging you as well. Having an understanding of the fees that are involved with your investing accounts are really going to help you make the decision whether or not you need to stay with that particular company or move on so that you can save and pocket more of your investing funds so that your accounts can grow. Lastly, let's take a look at your long-term vision. This really can be broken down into 3 different parts. So there's the retirement planning aspect of it. There's education and family planning that a lot of us are really thinking about, having kids, and then also thinking about the legacy you want to leave behind and wealth preservation. So if we're talking about retirement planning, a lot of people are like, well, how much do you want to have when you retire? Of course, a lot of us are going to say, well, $1 million. But is $1 million actually going to be enough for you to live on, especially with inflation and rising costs of things as we get older? Perhaps $1 million isn't enough. Maybe you need more. Always go back to the rule of 25 and the safe withdrawal rate of 4%. So the rule of 25 is take your annual expenses, the amount of money that you spend every single year, and multiply it by 25. When you hit that number, that should be the aim for your retirement goals. That number should be what you aim for. Then you can safely withdraw that money at 4%, and you have the most likely chance of never running out of that money inside of your investing accounts. This is made popular by the FIRE movement, financial independence, retired early. This is something that Kyle and I actually strive for and look to see how can we retire in our 50s versus our 60s. What can we do in order to achieve financial independence? And the rule of 25 has really helped us figure out what that exact number is. By the way, I also stumbled across this fabulous tool called Projection Lab. It's a financial planning simulator where you can plug in your debt, your investing account balances, and actually see the projection of when you'll hit different net worth milestones, as well as the balance in your retirement accounts once you hit retirement age. I will leave my affiliate link for you to check out Projection Lab. There is a free trial that you can download and use. It's awesome. I love the capabilities of this tool because it's really shown me the actual numbers and visuals and helps me figure out, okay, what if I buy a car in 5 years? What if I buy a house in 3 years? How does that impact not only my net worth, but my goals to retire in my 50s? It's such a robust tool. It's so much fun, and you should definitely check it out. I'll leave a link below. Next, if you are considering starting a family, as you know, tuition just continues to increase over time. And so we don't want our kids to go through what we've had to go through with college expenses. And who knows, maybe college won't be that big of a thing when our children get to be 18, 19, 20 years old. If you do want to save for your education expenses, this is something that Kyle and I have done for our daughter, is we've opened a 529 plan. Now, I would encourage you to put this as last priority over all of the other things that we talked about. You could still absolutely open the 529 plan and maybe fund it with $100, but really get yourself set up for success by laying that foundation and really working through those investing account steps that we talked about. before you go all in with a 529 plan. But the great thing about 529 plan is that you can put that money into investments, let it grow over time, and then you can withdraw that money to pay for qualified education expenses. And lastly, when we're talking about leaving a legacy and wealth preservation, you really want to make sure that you have a plan in place for the stuff, what happens to your stuff when you die. I know that sounds really morbid, but it's really true, especially true if you have a kid. This is something that we have to work on. So a plan for what happens to your stuff when you die. So estate planning is the typical terminology. And also, I think even more importantly than that is your will. So coming up with a will of what happens to you, what happens to any dependents, how are you dividing up your assets, who are the beneficiaries in that, and using a tool. Actually, if you work as a W-2 income earner, if you're an employee, check your employee resource groups or any employee assistance programs. Now, we did this through Kyle's employer, and we actually saw that there was a free service to download the Quicken Will and Trust Maker, and this was free. Usually it retails for like $100, but we got it free because his employer pays for that. Look into that. I know that sometimes those employee assistant program websites are really kind of all over the place. They're not organized, but trust me, if you can just spend your lunch hour or some downtime, spend some downtime, sorry boss, on some of those things and get into the weeds of those websites and see if they have a will and trust maker. That's going to be really great for you because it can walk you through step by step how to set that up. All right, so that's a look at everything for getting you set up for investing in your 30s and doing it effectively. Laying that foundation, really analyzing those investment account options and what you're going to invest in: stocks, bonds, mutual funds, index funds. Spoiler alert, I love the index funds. And also looking at your long-term vision. What is the amount that you need for retirement? How are you taking care of your loved ones in the end? If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And don't forget, if you're not part of the Debt-Free Millennials family, subscribe to the channel. We need you. We are building up to 100,000 subscribers for the DFM channel, and we would love to have you. If you like this video, come on, show some love. I'll catch you in the next one.
Yeah.